And g'day there, my name is Aussie Stern, a country Victorian gamer of Star Wars Armada, Star Wars Legion, X-Wing, Dystopian Wars, Battletech, Flames of War and many other games. Today I'm starting to paint some more Star Wars Shatterpoint models, and this time around I am painting the Mandalorians. In this case, what I am painting, I've already undercoated all three models with this wolf grey, and it's come out pretty good. I've then used some hawk turquoise or electric blue, as well as a little bit of that Macragge blue to create the nice undershirt, and then also using just a straight Macragge blue for some of the upper slightly under the armor areas of the model. With all of these models, they are very good and it's quite enjoyable to paint. It is, however, slightly difficult to actually narrate as well as do everything else with the model to put it on the video, all the components, and there are plenty of videos out there that does it. Now in this I have done a slightly darker look to Bo-Katan's undershirt. It is a black ink with a little bit of charcoal ink to just give it a fairly dark look, and I'm also now using this somber grey or cold grey on the armor plating for the other two Mandalorians. You will notice that I've also painted the bases of both sets of all of the models, with the metal as well as some sand colour. And this will help me to speed up the process later on. The blues that I've used, it's very important to make sure that you have enough of the blue colour when you're mixing or making a mixed paint, simply because obviously it does dry out, and if you lose it, you may not be able to get the exact same blend of colours again. Much like my video of doing the actual Death Watch ones in the more black and the darker colors, it's usually best to try and paint the lighter areas first and then work towards the darker areas, simply because it's a lot easier to go back over the lighter colors first than later on down the track. So in this, it's helped me to just basically paint and carefully go around the lines of the helmets of the Mandalorians to just very carefully create that white outline around his faceplate. It's also important that if I was to paint these models prior to assembly, I'd be more likely leaving the jetpack off until the end on all of these models. Makes it a little bit easier and allows you to get to some of the access points that are up and underneath those rocket nozzles. Now here we go with the next stage. Now I've added the bit more of the colorations. I've used a very light pale flesh for Bo's face. I've also used a little bit of what's called a fluoro yellow for the flames of the jetpack. I've also used some of snakebite leather brown, or with a bit of oak and monster brown for the likes of the belt. And Bo-Katan's hair is a mixture of the Memphis red and then over the top of it some flesh wash to further define the hair look. My next project that I'm started is to do Anakin. And as you can see, there's a lot of earth tone colours that I will be using. A lot of browns, scrag brown, terracotta, beige brown, yellow, electric blue mixed with the white for the lightsaber, some flesh wash or Reichland wash, and also some metal. Now, obviously I'm going to start off with the browns because a lot of his area is brown. The pants around the lower part of the robe is going to be in this scrag brown, while I'm going to use a bit more of the terracotta colour for the actual flowing robes area. The model itself is very nice and very stylized as Anakin, and you can clearly recognize him if you've watched the animation series of how he looks. He doesn't have that same look as what the movie version of him is, but in all, the model is a good representation, as Shatterpoint is obviously based a lot more on the anime than the movie. So once I get the bottom of the actual pants area, now I go on to the robe, which I'm using this terracotta. It is going to go on and be quite pale because it is a very watery paint, I find. So you will have it as you're applying, it will lighten. And it's also one of the reasons why I made sure to actually paint this model in a lighter tone. Obviously, if I painted it in a darker tone as the base coat, it may allow me to get a better coverage. But I like the lighter tone because it gives it a little bit more ability to contrast, use some of those lighter and darker tones for the washes, etc. And it means that when it gets to the robe or the vest, then I will be able to make sure that they are done in a different colour very much cleanly. Now that I've done both the base and also the robe, I got to leave him to dry a little bit. So in the meantime, I'm going to do a bit of coloration on the boots. Now this one is going to be in a beige brown colour, just so that it's a little bit more darker than the likes of his pants or the robes. The vestment, which is the next part that I'm going to do, is also going to be in a similar beige colour, but I'm also going to add in some other colours to it, namely a dark grey and some matte black to give it a darker colour, but not a dark grey, but not all the way to black. I want this to be more so just on the side of charcoal sort of thing, of a soot, I would say would be a good approximation to what this colour is. A nice soot colour that will really pop against the likes of the brown, and in many ways it's my thought that he could be slowly moving towards the dark side with this coloration. He still has that noble heritage, but he's starting to be persuaded. Again, taking the time to use those brushes, all different ones, making sure to get a good even coat of paint across all of the model is very important. and also making sure that I'm working from the lighter colours to the darker colours. Obviously, there are some places there that I haven't worked on yet, namely the belt. That will be one of the last things that I do in the central torso area, as well as the face. Now, once it's all dry, I'm going to work on the face with this Cadian flesh tone. Going to do around the face area carefully. You'll also notice that in the meantime, I've also done the likes of Anakin's boots and also his hand and glove in that soot color as well. Now, once that I have done his flesh area, then I will need to work a little bit on doing his hair, as well as ensuring that I do the eyeballs and any other bits that I need to do. I'm also going to just do a very light coat of this beige brown. The beige brown will allow some bleed through colour, so when I put on brown ink on top of it, it will give the light dark tonal progression that I want. And here we are, pretty much almost at the final version. I still have to do his lightsaber, which I'm going to use this grey to start off with to do just the handle. And then I'm going to use a very light mix of that electric blue with white for his actual lightsaber, and even topping it off with maybe a wash of yellow to make it glow in many ways. I'm also going to probably use a little bit of that gunmetal to do some of the more button areas on the lightsaber, as well as on his belt buckle. With that in mind, using a wash prior to putting the metal on is a good idea, as if you put a wash over metal tones, that wash will stain the metal, giving it a bit more rusted look. So in this way, by painting firstly white, and then I'm going to introduce a little bit of the blue, and then a lighter version of that said blue. What I'm hoping to create is more of a blend, so that it is very light in tonal color. And I'm going to be using a little bit of water to use it to mix the two colors while they are on the model itself. Now I've finished the model, I have given it a good wash on the likes of the belt, the face, boots, and it's come out pretty impressive. Now to varnish it and send it off on its way with the rest of my Shatterpoint stuff. But for now, from Aussie Stern, I'd like to say thank you for watching. Please like, please subscribe, leave a comment if you're interested, and check out one of my other videos on Armada, Star Wars, Battletech, or any other game. But for now, I will see you on the table next time. Bye for now.